Okay, tonight I am headed to lean startups on steroids. In mid-February, I attended a meetup called Lean Startups on Steroids. The primary speaker was Brant Cooper. Brant Cooper is a New York Times best-selling author of The Lean Entrepreneur. He's also the co-founder and CEO of Moves the Needle, which helps large businesses act like startups, enabling and empowering employees to be closer to the customer, move faster, and act bolder. But he didn't have time to talk that day, so we made arrangements to talk sometime in Encinitas. However, it had been 2 months before we finally found time that we could actually meet. I asked him to meet me at my friend's tavern, Encinitas Beer Garden. Alright, so I am here in Encinitas Beer Garden, which is one of my favorite places, with Brant Cooper. You guys saw him from the earlier footage from a speech he gave downtown. So thanks for being on the vlog.
Happy to be here. Good to see you.
Awesome. So for people who haven't read The Lean Entrepreneur, can you give, like the beginner, what is Lean Entrepreneur? Who are you actually speaking to, and why should they read that?
Yeah, so really the Lean Entrepreneur tries to break down this, what we call the myth of the visionary. So in other words, that in order to be a successful entrepreneur, you have to, have like this epiphany, and you're like, I got this great idea, and then you have to go build the idea and hire your sales and your marketing. And instead, a better way to build a startup is to be in learning mode instead of execution mode. So can I actually prove that I know my customer, that I know what they want, what their problem is, and what it is the solution that we're going to deliver that. And not only that, but how do we market and sell it to them? So that's what the Lean Entrepreneur is about, is how do you actually build businesses in this way that we're going to be in learning mode first, and then we're going to figure out how to execute.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, I know. Well, Brant, you're a staple here in San Diego in the entrepreneur community. And so yeah, for those people who haven't picked that up, definitely I think that's a must read for any, especially first time entrepreneur. This is your first time out of the gate. That's invaluable.
Thank you.
Brant, a few years ago, you're actually famous for an article you wrote about the San Diego startup scene. It was called Brant's Rant. And
I think you mean infamous. But
yeah, infamous, yeah, whatever you want to say. But it was very critical of the San Diego scene. So I guess, what were you mainly focusing on in that rant, and how do you think the San Diego startups scene has changed?
Listen, I mean, times change, and if you're a entity that is responsible, or your charter is to help entrepreneurs, then you have to change with the times. And so the institutions that I called out in that blog post, I worked with to try to help change.
Okay.
But it really got to the point that they were so backwards. They were so not helping today's modern startup entrepreneur that, to me, somebody had to call it out. And so I understand that that's like sensitive and all the rest.
Piss off some people.
Yeah, I piss off some people. But the thing is, I didn't call out anybody individually, which is different than the way they responded, by the way. But the thing is that, being able to analyze a particular situation and figure out how you can improve it really is at the heart of entrepreneurialism itself.
Yeah.
And so, so if people want to stick around and kind of hang out and do things the way they were done 10, 15, 20 years ago, then come on, we've got to move them aside. And the fact of the matter is that this has a real economic impact. And so if you're not able to compete with Silicon Valley, if you're not able to compete with other startup ecosystems that have grown up all across the country, then that actually affects San Diego's startup ecosystem. And if you're not able to modernize your techniques and you're taking all of the sponsorship money from the existing service providers, that money is not going somewhere else that maybe could be used in a more efficient way to drive impact.
One of the things I like, I think this is a great practice, is if you're going to criticize something, you've got to be willing to do something about it. You know, there can't be some sort of armchair critic or something like that. And back around the time of that article, you actually did something. When did that article come out?
2013, I think.
Okay, I'll put a link to that article below so you can see what we're actually talking about. A lot of people got really offended by that, but it's not like you just put that out there as a rant without actually putting any action. So around the same time you started San Diego Startup Week, which I've featured here on your Six-Figure Mentor, it got a lot of views. It got like 8,000 views or something like that, and actually that's more than the actual website. But San Diego Startup Week, and I didn't even know that when I went. It is you were the founder, and it's doubled in size pretty much every single year.
Every single year.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. What the folks involved with San Diego, with the Startup Week and Startup San Diego, which is its own entity now, which is great. What they've done with this is just absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And really put it on the map. When I first did this and envisioned it, it was really like, hey, you know, why don't we get a group of people that are running regular meetups and we'll put them all, you know, within the same week and surround San Diego venture groups meet up when they bring investors into town. And so that was the original idea. And so, you know, it was actually mildly successful in its first year, but again, what the Startup San Diego people have done with it ever since is absolutely phenomenal. And but also, you know, since 2010, I started a San Diego Tech Coffee meetup, and that was just like
which I didn't even. I didn't know you were behind that either.
Yeah, so Hannikin's in Del Mar, which is no longer there. So now we're at the Java Hut in Solana Beach. But it started out, you know, we had 15, 20 people every single week talking about entrepreneurship and looking for ideas from each other, you know, that collaboration aspect of it. And now there's 4, 5, 6 locations around San Diego where people are meeting every week to talk about their startup.
Yeah.
And
you don't even show up to those.
No, I feel sheepish about that, but I don't.
Awesome. That's totally awesome.
No, it's not my
You
group.
Started it, and it's organically kept going.
Totally
growing.
right. It's not my group.
That's awesome.
It's the members group. And SD Tech Founders is another one, which we did monthly meetups and a gracious donation from the IRPS school at UCSD, David Robertson, who donated his auditorium. And so for now 7 years, we've been running meetups where we bring in phenomenal speakers, you know, Dave McClure, Eric Rees, Sean Ellis, Brad Fell, David Cohn, Mark Schuster, you know, just phenomenal speakers that entrepreneurs need to listen to and want to listen to. We've been bringing those to San Diego, and demo nights and founders fight clubs and all of these events that we try to make, you know, super informational as well as fun. And it's designed to get the startup community together. It's not about, you know, making money or, you know, I charge $10 for the SD Tech Founders.
And you gave beer.
And
all the beer
all the beer you can drink. So I mean, like, where can you get that deal? Exactly. Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers to that. which has continued with SD Startup Week. Like,
Right, no, it
for
continues
60
on.
bucks, like every single night is free beer.
Last month we highlighted Melanie Gordon, the founder of Tap Hunter, who's been totally kicking butt with her startup.
Yeah, I know Flash.
Yep.
But,
and not known by many, but GoFundMe was actually launched at one of our demo nights, which was amazing. So I mean, I think that this is like, yeah, exactly.
All right, that blew my mind.
But the point is, the point is
That's
that
crazy.
No, exactly. The point is that we want entrepreneur-driven institutions, entrepreneur-driven meetups that serve entrepreneurs. Service providers play a role. They're an important role. Investors play a role. They're an important role.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing that builds a successful San Diego startup ecosystem is the startup entrepreneurs themselves being able to learn from each other and collaborate and share stories and share. Listen, you know, the guy that raised money 20 years ago, I want that guy's advice. I really do.
Yeah.
He understands the entrepreneurial ups and downs of, you know, being a startup entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But the guy that actually raised money a week ago or a month ago, that guy, like the advice that guy's given is gold.
Way more, exponential, Well, I want to give time a little bit for, I mean, Brant, you're a total giver. I mean, that's obviously like, you know, most of these things you don't really care about, you don't monetize it, which I love. I'm totally behind the giver theme philosophy. I live my life and my business has totally grown. Like, you know, if you're the biggest giver in the room, it may not pay back right away, but it will pay back 7-10-fold in time. And definitely, I think that time has proven, yeah, that's absolutely happened in the San Diego ecosystem. So it's one thing to just criticize, but if you're actually doing and not profiting, but like just giving to the community, it comes back and it pays you back 7-10-fold. Right now, let's talk about your baby, which is Moves the Needle. So tell us a little bit about that. Some of the companies you're working with, what do you do for them?
I feel a little bit sheepish because basically what I'm teaching is large enterprises to act like startups. So I'm teaching large enterprises to compete against you all. But listen, you know, there's room for everybody. My view is that the economy improves and how we're going to employ people globally is based upon large enterprises learning how to create value again instead of just creating wealth. And a matter of fact, there's a message in there for entrepreneurs as well. Wealth comes from creating value, but focusing on the value first. What is the value that you're creating for customers is actually how we raise the standard of living. So if you can go all the way back to Henry Ford, when his epiphany is that he could mass manufacture a car such that the people that were working on his assembly line could afford to purchase one, it moved the automobile from being a rich person's, you know, way of transporting them to the masses. It increases the standard of living. And so my job is to make sure to help these large enterprises also focus on creating value, and I do this by teaching them how to act like startups.
Okay, so let me ask you real quick, because June's upon us, like roughly about 7 weeks away, right? So what are you most excited about for this year's San Diego Startup Week?
Listen, it's grown. There's better content. There are more tracks.
Last year was phenomenal.
It was phenomenal. It's so much fun. You'll learn so much. The collaboration level is off the charts. And that really, again, the idea is innovation happens when there's collaboration between people with a diversity of backgrounds. And this is somehow, you know, other companies and people don't understand. It's a diversity of experiences, a diversity of skill levels, a diversity of backgrounds. It's a diversity of the countries that you were born in.
Yeah.
All of these things, this is why the melting pot established U.S. as the entrepreneurial center of the world, is because the difference among us actually helps us collaborate in ways that innovation totally breaks the mold.
Yeah.
And this is what Startup Week is about. It's getting people together so that they can collaborate and make the next best thing. It's to disrupt the world with our passion and our inspiration and our creativity.
Well, I'm super looking forward to that. Thank you so much again for being on the show. And I'm sure we'll have to do another one of these, because our conversation before this was like, man, I wish we could fit that all in a short segment.
I love what you're doing with this. I think it's important and it's contributing to the ecosystem, and so I encourage people to subscribe, and I actually also encourage people to reach out to me. I'm at Brant Cooper on all social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter.
I'll put links down below so you guys can easily access that. And yeah, Brant, you give it your time freely. I mean, that's something that I try to model my life off of, honestly. I love meeting with new entrepreneurs, and you do that. Like, you just meet regularly, and if you want to meet with him, honestly, this is a shout out to my buddy Dave, who owns the Encinitas Beer Garden. But this is a fantastic place to do that. So
it's actually
Encinitas local.
It's a pretty good bet that I'm gonna accept a meeting if it includes.
Okay, so hint: if you want Brant's time, come to Encinitas Beer Garden, buy him a beer. Definitely, you got a probably 51%, if not 60% chance of getting some time with Brant. So anyhow, thanks again for being on board, and I'll see you at San Diego Startup Week.
Hey, thank you, man.
Cheers to you, brother.
Yeah, cheers.
Yeah. All right, I'm told that there's a rooftop, so I'm gonna go see it.